Hey guys, we are here at GenCon 2015 at the Calliope Games booth, and I am joined by Ray Wehrs. Ray,
Steve,
thank you so much for being here, man. The first thing we've got to kind of get across is, for our audience especially, that may not know your name.
Sure.
Tell us about kind of your history in this industry, how you started and how you got to Calliope Games.
So, if we go back to the year 1999, right? So we've been doing it for a while.
I'm ready.
I was dragged in. I used to own an art gallery.
Okay.
And my brother-in-law, Jordan Weissman, came up with the combat dial system that was used on Mage Night.
Right.
And we launched Wizkids back in 1999.
One of my first games.
Okay, so
Mage Night, yeah.
and before then, I knew nothing of gaming. I didn't play games. On occasion, we would play a gateway game, family style game.
Mm-hmm.
But when the first Origins that I went to opened up my eyes to a brand new experience. I didn't know that all these wonderful people existed, right?
Yeah.
So that was an awesome experience. Fast forward, right? We sell Wizkids. We start a couple other game companies, and then the latest one is Compound Fun. Compound Fun actually has two brands. One brand is called Wells Expeditions, and it's a brand that we will pick up later, and it's all about gamers. It's that 2-hour experience, that hour and a half experience,
okay.
And it's all about the story and playing out the story. So that's something that we plan on doing down the road here and getting that ignited. But Calliope was always about building the player base, right? So and from not from within the gaming community, but from outside the gaming community.
Right.
So everything that we're doing is targeted at adults, right?
Yeah.
But it's playable by kids that are 8 years of age, and it's playable to a point where they can actually succeed and win the game and beat the adult without the adults throwing the game.
Right.
So that to us is key. And if we can make that happen and stay under $30, we think that we can actually reach outside the gaming community and bring in new gamers and introduce them to this wonderful hobby.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what Calliope is really about.
That's a really, really great thing to hear, and I think that's why we were so interested in this Titans of Gaming Kickstarter that you guys put on. Just to start to hit the audience that really hasn't been served by games because they don't know they exist. They don't know the community exists.
Well,
right?
and if they do know that games exist, they don't know the quality of the games that are within the hobby, right? So when they think about games, they think about Scrabble, they think about Monopoly, they think about Hungry Hungry Hippo, right?
Yeah.
Those are the games that they're thinking about. And so for us to be able to introduce them to Sorrow, right, and to Gotham and games that they can absolutely understand and play and have a lot of fun. They just don't even know that they're existing. So we spend a lot of time with moms and mommy bloggers and trying to get the moms to introduce the games to their families, because a lot of them are looking for alternate means of entertainment, and the games are perfect. So,
yeah. Where did the origin of the Titans of Gaming idea come from? This is basically you going to all of the, what I would consider kind of famous or upper level game designers and saying, make us a gateway game in your style or something you want to introduce to people. So
what happened was prior to the Titans of Gaming, right, we did two other Kickstarters. One was Sorrow of Seas, that was the first one we did, and the second one was Roll for It. And after the Kickstarters were completed, I went through every profile, and I looked at every profile, and I paid attention to who was actually backing those Kickstarters and what kind of things that they were backing outside of Kickstarters, outside of games. And what we found out is that the community that we were reaching, because the bulk of the stuff that we were doing is all mommy bloggers, right, was outside of the traditional community of gamers on Kickstarter. So we had a bunch of moms and a bunch of dads that never pledged to games before. We also focused on Kickstarter community being the guys that are writing books, the guys that are putting plays together. With the Kickstarter that we did with Sorrow of the Seas, we had fine art in there. So we were actually trying to reach to the community of Kickstarter and not just gaming community of
Right,
Kickstarter,
yeah.
right? And so we were really successful in that. But what happened was the gaming community was represented very, very small, right? And the people that are on Kickstarter are evangelists. Now, there's two types of evangelists, right? There's the gamer, right? And he wants to get his stuff first, and he wants to be able to say, hey, I helped put this on the shelf. And then you have the artist community, right? And they're looking at it as, here's a product that doesn't have a chance to get on the shelf, and if I back it, then there's a real opportunity that it might get there. Okay? So if we look at those two people, those two consumers, both of them are there, right? And if we can get to the artist community, we automatically broaden the width of the gaming community. So even if they've never played a game before, but they bought it because they like the cover art on the box, right? That's huge for us, because now they're going to take that game and introduce it to somebody else who's not a gamer, right? And again, we get outside of the gaming community and we're making it larger. Okay.
Perfect.
Now, with the Titan series of gaming, what happened there was we knew that we had a bunch of evangelists that we weren't using. Right? So how do we get them engaged in the products that we're producing and what we want to do, right? And so the answer to that was get the designers that they love and the games that they like to play, right? And if we could design a gateway game and a filler game with those designers that actually have elements of games that they love to play, then we're much more likely to have them pull those games off the shelf to introduce people that are non-gamers than actually having them introduce their friends with a gaming product that is a 2.5-hour experience or a 2-hour experience, right? So we're trying to get those evangelists to show and help us grow the community. So that's where the Titans of Gaming came.
Well, so what has the process been like working with these Titans so far and getting this all organized? How's that been for you?
You know, it's like herding cats, right? But the reality is they're all very, very talented guys, right? And once they get moving, you know, they're focused, right? And we have 3 games that we're going to be releasing in June from the Titan series, and they're wonderful, wonderful games. And you know, we're getting to the point where we're going to be launching a forum right after GenCon, so that people that back the Titan series can start communicating with us, right? And we're going to be putting up print and play versions of the games so that they can download them, read the rules, play them, tell them where we're screwing up and what we're doing right, you know, and then we can start talking about art and that type of thing. So we really want to get them involved in what we're doing in that process, and we're going to get them involved in different ways. And one of the things that I've done with the designers is I've challenged them to say, hey guys, we have a real opportunity here to work with our customer, right? How do we do that? What do you want to do that's different from what you've done in the past to get these guys engaged? And so they're all thinking about that, right? So it's going to be a really fun project.
Well, this kind of all leads me to wonder, what is your kind of grand vision for tabletop gaming over the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see this hobby going?
So I truly believe that if everybody in this room does their job right, and I think they are, we have some really, really good companies in here, you know, and tabletop gaming is a very, very affordable entertainment experience, right? So if you look at the value that you get for the dollar that you spend, if we can introduce the mass populace to that value proposition in and of itself, the real cool thing is the eye-to-eye communication and the relationships that board games. So if you take that value proposition, cash value proposition, and you blend that with the real benefit of, hey, I get to know you better, right? And for a lot of families where, you know, they're sitting around the table and they're texting, they're not even talking to each other, right? So if we can break that, I think we win. So the answer to the question, I think it's just going to flourish, right? Because people are going to get busier and busier, and they're going to be looking for these escapes. So
beautiful, Ray. Well, you released, or I'm sorry, haven't released, but are demoing a game here at GenCon 2015 from Calliope.
Yes.
Called Thieves. And I know you're really excited about it, and I'm looking at it, I'm excited about it. So can you just give us a quick rundown of what's going on here?
I absolutely can. So Thieves is going to be a $10 card game, all right?
Perfect.
And it will play 3 to 6 players. And again, with Calliope Games, we want everybody to be engaged, okay?
Yeah.
So we are thieves, and
Fair.
we are in the bank, right? And we are stealing loot, okay? So loot cards range in point values from 0 to 3.
Okay.
Okay? And it's cash, right? You're in the safe,
I love
man. You're
cash.
stealing all the cash.
That's why I'm here.
Right? So when you see a loot card or you play a loot card, you will play it in front of yourself face down so that the safe is actually showing up.
Okay.
Now, we are thieves, and the reality is we're in the bank, right?
Yeah.
And there's cops that don't want us in the bank.
Sure.
Right?
Risky.
And so, you know what? I don't want to get busted.
Yeah.
So it would not hurt me at all to frame you, right? And then I would put the cash in front of you.
Okay.
Okay. When
Fair.
I'm trying to frame you.
Yeah.
Right. So cash is one style of loot that's within the game.
Okay.
Right. The other style of loot. Now we hit the safety deposit boxes.
Ooh.
Right. So
Ooh.
we have a diamond ring, and we also have a horseshoe, a golden horseshoe.
Wow.
Okay. Now, the cops, they know what a diamond ring is. They know what it looks like. Okay. So during the game, the diamond ring is worth 1 point. But at the end of the game, you can't fence it any longer, so it's only worth 1 point. Okay?
I see.
The horseshoe, however, during the game is only worth 1 point. Cops don't know that it's made out of gold, right? But at the end of the game, it's worth 3 points, because now you can melt that sucker down and take it anywhere and get the cash for it.
Fair.
All right? So that's the loot types. Now remember, if it's a loot card, you play it in front of yourself, or you will play it in front of your opponent.
Okay.
At the beginning of the game, all the players are dealt 3 cards, and on their turn they're going to draw up so that they actually have 4, and then they're going to play one. Okay? So that's how the game is started.
You play one face down in front of yourself or your opponent.
It's face down in front of yourself, face up in front of your opponent if you're going to try to frame them. Okay? So now, we're in the bank.
Okay.
We need to get out. So we got a getaway car sitting outside.
All right.
All right? Now, the getaway cars, there's 8 of them in the deck. Okay? As soon as the 7th one shows up in the game over. All right? So that's when we're going to score. All right? So if you draw a getaway car, you have to play it right away.
Okay.
And then you draw up another card and you continue your turn.
Okay.
So it doesn't count as your turn. It's just an auto play. It's a timer for the game. Okay.
Fair.
So again, we are thieves. And so if we have to have a thief card, right?
Right.
So the thief card allows you to transfer loot from one player to another.
Aha.
Okay. Now I can transfer it from two opponents, right?
Right. So like from this guy to this guy, this girl to this guy.
Exactly.
Okay.
And when that happens, the loot is actually revealed, so you'll know what the point value is on it.
All right.
Okay. Now, I could steal loot from you because I think that the cards or the getaway cards, right, are coming up to that 7th one. So I might be trying to get my own stash, right? Yeah. So it can be used several different ways. Okay.
Okay.
We also have the fortune card. Now you'll notice that these thieves are they're in heaven, man. They're counting their cash, right?
Right.
So the fortune card allows you to dig back into the safe, right? And you're going to draw 2 cards off the deck, and you're going to play those 2 cards immediately.
Wow.
Okay. So again, any of the cards that are not loot cards are played in the center of the table. Okay. Which includes our friends, the cops.
I was waiting for the cops. Just waiting for them.
Yeah, and they're waiting for you, too.
It's too good to be true.
Right? So now the cops, there's 1 helmet and 2 helmet cops. Okay? When 4 helmets are on the board, the raid happens at that point. Okay? So when somebody sets off the raid, everybody flips over their stash. We count up the loot. The player with the highest loot at that particular point in time, right, is busted.
Busted.
Right?
Yeah.
So now all of his loot and all of the cards except for the getaway card are shuffled back into the deck.
Wow.
All right? And then we start all over again.
So my immediate question is, how many of these cards are there in this deck? How often are these cops going to be raiding the Thieves?
Okay, so that depends on who you're playing with, all right? And the reality is, if somebody wants to be a real stinker, they can pull out the sirens, right? And that is going to, the player that plays that siren, right, is forcing the raid. So everybody who has cops in their hands, other than the player that actually laid that card down, must play their cops.
Wow, okay,
right?
Yeah.
So this is a game about thieves, right? It doesn't mean that they're loyal to you. It means they want to win and get all the cash, right? So the last card that's in the game is a barricade. Okay, so as a thief, right, you can set up obstacles to prevent the cops from chasing you down. Okay, the barricade will not block the siren. However, as the cops are accumulating, right, they will cancel cop cards out when you play the barricade. Okay.
So you have all the loot. You probably want to start playing those barricades. Keep the cops away. Yeah.
That's correct. Okay. Right now, when they're played, they don't get shuffled into the deck when they're blocked, right? Until the raid happens. Okay. Once the raid happens, then they get shuffled in. But that's Thieves, right? And it's $9.99.
Beautiful. And what's kind of this Thieves game, what are you trying to do to really push this out to the world? Do you have any grand plans to make this the game that kind of gets into the dining tables and the communities?
So we've done a number of things, right? So the box itself will tell a story.
Yeah.
All right. And when you open up the box, the rules are going to be the actual bank. Okay.
Oh, nice.
When you pull the rules out of the box, it's a single deck and a double deck box, and it's a setup box. Okay. The platform inside the box is going to have two thieves on it actually looking at the safe.
Nice.
Right? When you pull the cards out, the safe is going to be cracked and all the loot is going to be there. So we're going to tell the story before you ever even open up the rules to play the game. With actually marketing that, we hope that in and of itself is a little bit different than what a lot of people are doing when they're making card games, and hopefully we'll get press all about just the packaging and the way we're telling the story, right? But we're going to reach out to, again, mommy bloggers and players, and unfortunately, the best way to market any board game or card game is player interaction. It's all word of mouth. So getting our player base involved and knowing about Thieves, we'll do that. We'll do an email to them and tell them all about it, right?
Yeah.
And for a lot of consumers, there's a lot of cards here that they have to remember to play the game, but the story keeps it organized for them, right? And then the other thing that we did is we put a little cheat sheet together. So it tells them exactly what they have to do, and there's really only three styles of cards, so it's not a lot for them to remember once they understand what that particular style of card does.
Perfect.
So, that's what we're up to.
There it is. Ray, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
And for everything that you and Calliope is doing, this is really kind of the next step for Tabletop to reach that 99% that we're not currently hitting.
Yes.
So, best of luck on your mission, and we'll be definitely supporting that Titans of Gaming Kickstarter.
Well, you anytime you guys want to talk, I'm here. As you know, I'm well-winded.
Excellent, Ray. And you guys should support that Titans of Gaming Kickstarter as well. Go check it out, see what's going on, get those games, share them with your friends, even the ones that don't play games, and let's grow this industry. So thank you guys for watching. We got more coming from GenCon 2015. Stay tuned.